Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here, Richmond Hill Golf Learning Center, headquarters for Wisdom in Golf. We have an important delivery today as far as the YIPS are concerned. I was listening to a radio show with Hank Haney on the way to work on the Sirius XM Golf Channel. And they're talking about Tiger, pulling out because he's got the chip yips. And if you saw Graham DeLette over at, he had to pull out because he had way too much anxiety. He couldn't chip the shots. He was shanking. He was sticking in the ground. He wasn't able to pull off the chips. And it's happened to many a golf professional and many a solid amateur. And there really isn't any reason for it. And I'm going to explain to you how we are wired and how we are built to perform this task properly. And if you're not focused on the right task, well, you're going to run into some trouble, especially the more you try and the more you manipulate and the harder you place the instrument, well, the more trouble you're going to have, okay? So let's just look at how we're wired. Two examples. Let's say I'm an architect and I have my design table and I want to do a very fine manipulation. So my brain is going to freeze my body into the statue so that I can really perform a very, applied manipulation. For surgeons, I just had we were just talking about that with one of my surgeon students. He says, hey, I've been a plastic surgeon my whole life, and when we have to reattach a finger and we have to reattach blood vessels that are a millimeter as far as their walls, their thickness and their size, I had to put some pillows under my hands and put the table in a very specific position so that I could perform those very fine manipulations. So that's very different than, say, a lumberjack getting ready to deliver an axe to the side of a tree. So if I had a tree in front of me right here and I take a 6-pound axe and I heave that axe into my backswing, well, the brain already feels a lot of weight here. It's going to want to get the heck out of the way. So when I heave the axe, the body's got to turn out of the way so I don't hit myself. If I freeze my body, well, you're not going to perform that too often before you keel over. So out of pure self-preservation, we have 4 million years of self-preserving wires inside of our systems, and you can't go against this, okay? We're wired a very particular way. We learn motor skills a very particular way. We are terrible with puppet positions. In other words, I'm going to take this, I'm going to place it here and here and here. These 8 position swings, they just don't cut it insofar as how we're wired, okay? So this particular tool in particular is like an axe. It's a grass cutting tool. So if I take my axe and I heave it up here, and I just use the weight of the axe to deliver my task, it's going to be a very different focus than, that's the problem with a golf club. It's light enough that I can manipulate to meet the ball. So my body's going to freeze so I can position the club to the ball, and the more I try and the more fine my manipulations are, the worse this is going to get. Or I can feel the weight of my arm club unit, and I'm going to use the weight of this arm club unit to cut the dandelion stem. This is a dandelion in disguise. So if I had that dandelion stem, see you got these little rubber tees, and by the way, is a great little great grass whip here. Melhorn grass whip just came out. It's homemade in the good old US of A. So I got my dandelion stem right here. I'm going to take that and I'm going to give it a cut. So my brain sees something to cut through. I feel the weight of my arm grass whip unit, and I use that weight to cut through that stem. So my brain sees continuity because that stem isn't going to stop this 40 pounds of swing. One arm is 9% of my body weight times 2 plus a club for a 200-pound person, that's 40 pounds. So you take that 40 pounds and you drive it through the cut of that dandelion stem. See what happens? Right through the stem, the ball just stayed right there. I can take that to market, give it a little sale, right? So I feel the weight of the instrument. My eyes are between the leading edge of that grass whip and the tee, and my task is to allow that to cut through that stem with heft. All right, so now I can miniaturize this for chip shots. Now, as human beings, these instruments that we've designed are all designed handle first in mind, okay? If I'm going fishing, the natural kinetic sequence of an arm motion is elbow to hand, hand to handle, handle to stem, and then finally whatever's at the end is going to come through last. If I have a sword, handle, blade, tip of blade. Fishing pole, handle, fishing pole, tip of fishing pole. Golf club, handle. So I want the handle to hang naturally in front of the ball. How can I use the weight of the arm club unit if I have to manipulate the handle forward? I want to feel like the handle, here's a secret, I want to feel like the handle is naturally hanging in front of the ball. See that? So both my arms are going to reunite right here in the center of my sternum, the sternal notch, where the two clavicles join the rib cage. That's the center of the arm swing. If I only had one arm and I was cutting grass with just one arm, notice the center of that would be represented by the shoulder socket. There's the bottom of the arc. So I bring them both together, bring my hands, there. My hands are always going to hang in front of the center of my sternum, sternal notch. Now, if I play the ball back in my stance, I will naturally be able to cut the grass without even trying, and you'll notice the bottom point is right there in front of my back foot. If I go much wider, then the bottom point is slightly behind center. So my hands can naturally hang in front. If my feet were together, the bottom would be on the outside of my foot. See that? So my hands can naturally hang in front of that ball. So if I'm slightly apart, it'll be off the back foot. Now, notice how my arm club unit does not deteriorate in its shape. I have a lowercase letter y between my arms and the club. Notice how my arms don't change going back and they don't change coming through. Why? No obstacle. This is super primo important, okay? If I had a ball in my hands, I wanted to toss a ball towards you from the side. Notice how my body would have to open up in order for this to find you. If I don't open up, it can't go that way. Notice how my arm gets crashed up against the rib cage and everything gets pulled across this way. So if I don't move this out of the way, it's smush, smush. All I get is an accordion up against my body. So a real chipping motion looks like this. Tossing a ball to somebody here, tossing a ball to somebody there. One for you, one for you. So notice how my rib cage is now moving out of the way of this arm club unit. This is how we're built. So don't let the left arm hit me, don't let the right arm hit me. Don't let the left arm hit me, don't let the right arm hit me. So notice how my legs have to move for that? Well, yeah. The feet using the ground are going to remove my pelvis and rib cage through the hips. Notice now my rib cage is no longer in the way of my arm club unit. This is how I'm built. You don't have to think about this. We're already wired for this, okay? So, ball back, hands hanging forward, out of the way, out of the way. Done. 0 yips. So if I do one towards you, notice I just let everything hang, let it swing back and through. There's the distance between me and the ball. That's where it needs to be. Bring that over. So now I'm just going to let momentum cut the dandelion stem. There it is, right between your legs. Let momentum cut the dandelion stem. If I'm applying to the ball, this freezes. That's going to go there. Yip City. So if I allow the weight of my arms to cut through the stem, the body's going to use the ground, the brain uses the ground to get my body out of the way, and then we got, woo, doesn't that feel great? 0 yips, 0 possibility of the yips. Now I've got a beautiful motion through a stem. That's my task. So the cleaner the cut, the better the contact with the ball. So just have fun cutting along the ground through the stem of that dandelion. So if you do that properly, well, then you can take 2 golf balls. Here's 2 dandelions. And I'm going to let it cut through both stems. There you go. So notice how I'm allowed to cut through both stems and both golf balls go in the air. This ball flies over that one. The club continues along the ground. Look how low that club stays along the ground. And notice how that arm club unit never comes apart. There's Steve Stricker, Jason Day. They can even improve upon that by simply don't let anything get in the way. So you can be as firm or as very delicate. So when you're going to be delicate with something, well, you know, sometimes you tend to, oh my God, there's too much momentum there. I'm going to hit the ball. I have to hit the ball more gently. So if you're hitting the ball more gently, you're stopping at the ball and you'll stick it in the ground. But if you cut through a dandelion stem more gently, so I'm going to let it fall gently through that dandelion stem. Perfect contact, beautiful, oh, nice and soft. If I want that to land even softer, I'm going to open up the club face. I see the dandelion stem. I see how the leading edge has got its nice little teeth, and I'm allowing it to cut through that dandelion stem. Look how beautifully gentle that was. So gorgeous little cut through the stem. If I want to put a little more spin, make it grab, I just need to increase the momentum. There it is. So more momentum, that'll have more grab on it. So have a look at my short game chipping video. Also on my premium channel, we got an extensive video on the chips. And also you'll see a video of mine called Chip Shanks. Have a look at that. I'm talking about the same thing, but you'll see down the line what that looks like. So if we look at it from down the line, one last important little thing here. Always use an intermediate point. So if I'm going to chip right over this intermediate point here, let it fall, let it cut. Notice I use the word let. Bring that in. So now I got the right distance between myself and that ball. Don't face the ball. Always face your center so that the center of your sternum is here and the hands are naturally hanging in front. So from there, if I take the club back, notice how don't let it hit me and let it swing along that line. That's going way too inside. It's going to fall here. I'm going to have to pick it up to bring it over. Yip. If I bring it too far outside, I'm going to have a tendency to hit the ground there. I want the momentum to go that way. So if I have a kid on a swing and I want this kid to move towards you, would I bring him this way? Don't think so. I'm going to bring him back this way so he can swing naturally towards you. So I'm allowing momentum to move in that direction. And when I'm using momentum, look how gorgeous that was. Just perfect contact. So my task is, let the weight of my arm club unit, I call it the dandelion guillotine, it's using pure gravity to cut the dandelion stem. Simple, very clean, and very much along the lines of how this was created for us, okay? So we're built a certain way. Please don't go against it. Believe how amazing this is. I do. Enjoy.